So brought you some goodies from Colombia across the border. These are called panderitos.
Panderitos.
You need to dip them in the coffee. You just instantly put it in, pull it back out, eat it. It's going to be the best fresh coffee from the farm, local farm. And then for the rest of the team, chocolate covered coffee beans to keep everybody energized. Oh, I guess for you now. Yes, roasted coffee beans.
Sounds wonderful.
Couple of those, zoom, rocket ship.
So instant.
Instant, baby. You just eat them.
All right. So it'll increase productivity.
Yes.
Hello, it's Aaron here with Disruptors. I'm here with Scott Morse. He flew all the way from Colombia. I'll find out a little about him.
Scott Morse flying in from Colombia, South America, representing Lamassu Media or LamassuLeads.com.
You told me a little bit off camera, but can you tell people why you came up with the name Lamassus?
Yes, so Lamassu, actually, it's the very first time in recorded history that both a lion and an eagle became a deity. And so it goes back to what is now modern-day Iraq, which is then Assyria, but the Assyrians had a god of protection that was a lion and an eagle. And so as I researched how I wanted to start this company and then the animal characteristics of our company, I always wanted to do lion because we're not hyenas, we don't joke, we eat what we kill. And I always wanted to do eagles because we're not ducks, we don't wait for breadcrumbs and we fly high. So the very first time a lion and an eagle together, it was a Lamassu, and that's what we're in the shadow of.
So first off, you're kind of telling me you work in the leads part of real estate. What kind of attracted you to get into leads and learning how to sort things?
I think almost all great inventions come from necessity.
Okay.
And so I just needed highly qualified, highly motivated leads for my company. And so what started out was a journey to solve my own problem, ultimately became a solution for a lot of businesses' problems. You know, I had another business where I'd made a significant rewards in, if you will. And as that industry got mitigated out and eventually hit some regulatory headwinds, I was looking for a new opportunity. And I had a buddy of mine, his name's Alex Quezada in Orlando, Florida, told me about this industry. And he was just like, hey man, if you'll just take this industry and insert it into your lead gen ecosystem, dude, you'll crush this. And so we ended up partnering together. He showed me the ropes of some of the real estate investing side of it. But really it's his idea on my execution is what gave us Lamassu, but it couldn't happen without him. You know, there's a lot of different factors to the money side. I can tell you that time is just as important as money.
Okay.
And so when you have closers calling leads that never should be in their ecosystem, you end up taking them away from doing revenue producing activities. It makes sense. So the whole objective is, hey, listen, can I have my closers closing more versus hunting people to talk to? And that's the problem that we solved.
You also say your business, you say highly qualified, highly motivated.
Yep.
Correct? What kind of gave you guys that saying? Like, why is that you
know, it's just one of those things you catch yourself saying. You know, as we were training people up, as the office was launching, we were like, hey, listen, if they're not highly qualified and it's not highly motivated, don't send the lead over. And then it becomes one of those things. It's just, that is the marker of a successful lead. Is it qualified? Is it motivated? Is it highly qualified? Is it highly motivated? And then you start thinking about your staff and your team members, and you're like, is my team highly qualified? Are they highly motivated? And so that just became the DNA of our company, all things highly qualified, highly motivated.
I also did notice on Instagram, you're a big fan of The Office.
Huge fan of The Office.
That's your favorite show ever?
Every single night.
Okay, so I wonder.
Now watching it in Spanish.
You watch it every single night?
Every single night.
Okay, so
more or less, yeah.
If you would say which character in your business are you most like from The Office?
It's definitely Michael Scott.
You're Michael Scott?
Oh my God. The most inappropriate things that you can say. We ended up firing our HR director, and that allowed me to really step it up a lot more. But I have every bobblehead of every character. I have in my office, there's a pillow that says "That's what she said" in my office yeah.
So you fired HR so you could speak?
No, it ended up turning out that way. When she was gone, then I could kick up another level. But for sure, I am the Michael Scott of my office. I don't have a lot of time for discretionary, TV shows, but I can tell you that if I have a moment and I'm winding down, The Office is just it's lighthearted, it's good time, it's a gesture, and it's very representative of what we do at my office too.
What would you say your biggest lesson has been in your journey so far in real estate?
Biggest lesson I think I've learned, and I say this with a little bit of love, but there's a lot of noise in this industry. It's filled with way more hobbyists than it is actual entrepreneurs. And so when you're starting your education on what to do and how to execute, you have to be able to decipher through the noise, and you also have to be able to understand where you stack up to everybody else. And it's hard to see where you stack up when everybody else uses vanity numbers and not actual bank account numbers. And so that was the biggest thing for me to really educate myself on, is that the people who are doing real numbers, like the good institutional ones that aren't institutions, those guys really aren't on social. They're busy having weekends with their family and also executing on many $1 million per year businesses. And so understanding that there truly are levels to this above and beyond social was a big learning curve.
And then I know how much of everything you do is for, you say a lot for your daughter and your family. How big is that to you?
You know, I don't know. It's almost like trying to describe infinity. It would be tough for me to really say it's everything. You know, I think that leading by example is important in business, and so I try to do that. But it's even equally or more important, obviously, in the home life. And so my daughters, I think it's different also too having girls, because I'm in such a provider protector mode that I may be a little less if it was boys. And I don't know if that sounds bad or not, but it's just who I am. But yeah, my objective is to give them the life that I never had, and they've been blessed. And I didn't even fly my first time till I was 21. We just didn't have money and didn't have opportunity. And my kids have traveled the world now, and houses, and everything is beautiful.
What enticed you to be on the podcast today, and how did you meet Steve?
It's a great question. So I knew Steve before Steve knew me. He doesn't know this, but you know, 2.5 years ago when I was just entering the space, I actually sent him a message and he ghosted me. Because I wanted to get on here a while ago. But what happened is we both just spoke at a conference the other day, and I found out that he was speaking immediately after me. So I went up there and I spoke with the conviction to know that I'm going to essentially grab his attention. I want to take his attention. I want to make sure before he hits that stage after hearing me speak that he has to twist up a little bit in his head and say, oh, damn, I got to follow that guy. So ultimately, we both were able to deliver significant value to the recipients in the crowd. And it was an honor to be able to speak before him, effectively opening up for him. But that led us to really get to know each other, and then that led to the conversation for me to come out here today. So it's an honor to be able to be here, to be able to get to know Steve better, and to just be able to provide some value and feedback to his listeners and anybody else in his circle.
So my last question is, I know you're originally from America, but say someone that is, you know, international, and they want to kind of get into this real estate world in America and find, you know, their way in. How would someone do that even if they're not in America or currently?
It's super simple, super easy. And so what I think people need to really appreciate is the power of virtual wholesaling. So in my office, we have closers in my office as well too. We have the lead qualifiers, I have TC, I have Dispo, I have everything. So I can confidently tell you, I believe I'm one of the largest international wholesalers, if not that have ever existed, but definitely active in the game. Maybe there's a couple other guys, maybe some institutional guys that are out there. But the point is just to understand, it takes sales skills first. It doesn't matter where you're located. It doesn't matter any of these other encumbrances that you have a different time zone out of the country. It's, do you have communication skills? Are you afraid to pick up the phone? Are you going to encourage the seller to make a decision in that moment? Are you going to be able to follow through on those promises? And if you can just do basic fundamental sales, it doesn't matter if you're located in Alaska, Colombia, Florida, you can do deals in the United States.
What I'm hearing is you guys need to buy Steve's sales training. That's what I just heard right there. Make sure you guys tune into the podcast and find out more about him. All right, bye.